Montgomery Community Media presents MCPS, What Happened? What's Next?
There will be accountability for any failures.
Anyone who is implicated in wrongdoing will be held accountable.
If any of that stuff that was in the paper is true, those kind of work conditions are ridiculous.
When our schools are under attack, we stand up and we fight back.
The idea that at 99.2% of your requests that you would have to lay people off or break contracts, that really calls into question the fiscal management.
What do we want? Opt-out! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Opt-out! When do we want it? Now!
They're not attending next year because you got rid of their school. Talk about an attendance crisis. This is your attendance crisis.
We are pleased to announce that we intend to appoint an individual who embodies the quality this community highly values.
I know that working together is impossible without one ingredient: trust.
We have to be transparent about what went wrong and how we're going to fix it. And we also need to not make the same mistakes over and over again.
It's hard to imagine a more difficult school year for Montgomery County Public Schools than the one that ended in June. There was a blockbuster scandal, the superintendent's resignation, and budget controversies. I'm Mariam Shahzad, and I reported on many of this news for Montgomery Community Media. We will look at what happened and what's next. We start with the rally only days after school let out in June of 2023, when parents protested against the school's required readings.
What do we want? Opt-out! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Opt-out! When do we want it?
Parents are back for another rally here outside the Board of Education meeting building to once again demand opt-out options for LGBT reading material in schools.
As you see here clearly and loudly, the message is clear. Many of the parents from MCPS needs the opt-out options, needs to keep the value of parents, the value of their religion to be respected in the school.
Montgomery County Public Schools, do your job and reinstate parents' rights to opt out.
Don't try to relabel texts that are about human development and sexuality into literacy class and try to force kids to read them.
The many protesters and some counter-protesters gathered again following a rally 3 weeks ago.
These are, books for younger students about different family structures. My wife and I have a 12-year-old who just finished 6th grade at an MCPS middle school. And certainly in nursery school and kindergarten, he was talking about his family and his 2 moms and had pictures of his family.
If you allow that for lessons that show LGBTQ families, you could have people wanting to opt out of lessons where they had books which showed immigrant families or Muslim families, and that would be horrible.
Opt-outs is our right, and raising our kids is based on our religious and home value, not according to the school value.
Eventually, the parents would appeal to Maryland Supreme Court challenging the reading lists, but the court ruled in favor of MCPS, so no books were banned. But as summer rolled on, an even more troubling development would shake the very foundation of public schools in the county. A principal appointed to begin work at a local high school was found to be the subject of multiple complaints of sexual impropriety by teachers. The Washington Post broke the story in late July. It detailed years of uninvestigated reports. In September, the county council called on the Board of Education and the superintendent of schools to testify about how it happened and what changes would be forthcoming.
I want to address the difficult topic of the allegations of sexual harassment and bullying at one of our middle schools, and the repeated failure of the system to respond to complaints reported. We, the board, want to assure our staff, students and families, and the community that we will determine what happened. And there will be accountability for any failures, either systemic or individual, that are identified. The board has met with the external investigators and are confident that the team will conduct an independent, unbiased investigation. First, the team is investigating any potential failures by MCPS in connection with the promotion of Dr. Joel Badelman to principal of Paint Branch High School. The board expects to receive a report of this first phase of the investigation by September 8th, 2023. The team is also simultaneously conducting a Title IX investigation into any potential Title IX violations led by Joel Badelman. The findings from that phase of the investigation will take more time due to strict statutory due process requirements pursuant to Title IX.
We all take this very seriously. We will take the time to understand exactly what happened, especially as we reflect on the report. You know, it indicated that issues may have stretched back years. It indicated that people may have felt like they had failed leadership. And also know that our team is going to be fully responsive and cooperative with the investigators. We want to know who, what, when, and why. And we're also going to make sure that we're doing everything to make them have the information, help them have the information that they need to give us those answers. And I want to say that through that process, anyone who is implicated in wrongdoing will be held accountable, period.
It's really concerning what the announcement that was made. It begs a lot of questions because they said they were going to do an investigation, which is great, except they made a promotion decision despite having 6 complaints this year. So were there investigations or weren't there investigations? Were they adequate? Obviously they didn't feel they could just get up and say or defend our investigations, so it's troubling. And I think everybody's concerned that this is not a one-off event, and we're hoping that other things don't, well, I would hope that nothing else comes out of this, but it's concerning. I think a lot of people are rightfully concerned. I mean, those kind of work conditions, if any of that stuff that was in the paper is true, those kind of work conditions are ridiculous.
Despite solutions offered, the after effects of the scandal lingered on until the sitting superintendent of schools was forced to resign. In her place, an interim superintendent, Monique Felder, was appointed to carry on the day-to-day business of the school district. Later, the more than $1 million contractual obligations and severance paid to the resigned superintendent would raise questions about how the school system managed the sizable part of the county budget they were given. Meanwhile, a nationwide search was begun. And what exactly would a potential candidate be expected to manage? Montgomery County is home to the largest school system in the state and the 17th largest in the country. We teach more than 160,000 students at 211 schools with the help of more than 25,000 employees. Our students come from 157 countries and speak 162 different languages. Our annual budget is more than $3 billion. The high academic ratings of our schools have long been the envy of surrounding counties, but recent studies show our ratings may be slipping. A new superintendent would have to handle all of that and more. But before that, another dilemma would develop. The county council did not approve the full budget request from MCPS. County teachers registered their opinions on the budget decisions at an energetic rally.
We know schools are under attack. We stand up and we fight back.
The county executive gave them even less.
We are looking for full funding for our schools so that we do not have to have class size increases and we do not have to have furloughs or involuntary transfers that will lead to disruption of our school communities.
Our students united
will never be defeated.
Another thing that we're really concerned about is this open contract situation. Montgomery County has signed over 200 open contracts with new educators or educators new to our county. We've told these people they will have jobs. What kind of message is it going to send if we break those promises and don't have a spot for them? We'll never recover as a system.
We cannot allow them to continue to babysit them at the expense of our educators.
We shouldn't have to be having the same conversations over and over and over again, year after year after year. We talk about raising taxes, we did that. The school's still not funded. So why are we back here at the drawing board again? So I'm here to support our educators, and that's what's important.
DOE, you're no good. Fund our students like you should. DOE, you're
In reaction to a projected budget shortfall by the County Council, the Board of Education announced significant teacher and personnel layoffs, a development that provoked council members to object to the last-minute timing after months of negotiations.
We funded 99.2% of the board's recommended budget. And the idea that at 99.2% of your request that you would have to lay people off or break contracts, that really calls into question the fiscal management.
And the idea that we would be rescinding contracts for 177 teachers and potentially losing another 143 is just really unconscionable.
And the school board is meeting now in emergency session to talk about a budget that they saw, participated in, and knew what was happening. And they're giving us information now about our decisions. Shame on them.
Eventually, the Board of Education would back down from their earlier position, but they did decide to eliminate the virtual academy. It put an end to an option that allowed 800-plus students to get their education online, and that prompted passionate protests by their parents.
Dr. Felder, you said you cared about Arthur and our kids, and you lied. I don't need.
They gave Monifa $1 million to go away, but they can't fund our kids that are sick, our kids that are in wheelchairs, our kids that need this.
If they're worried about attendance, each one of these kids, they're not attending next year because you got rid of their school. Talk about an attendance crisis. This is your attendance crisis.
And if nobody inside saw, I handed on behalf of all of us, Dr. Felder, a stack full of papers of truancy letters saying that our kids will not be here next year. Why? Because you made it that way. Our next step is Annapolis. Governor Moore, if you don't come to us, you see all 800 of us, we'll be there. We'll come to you. We're coming for you. That's what we want. We need to speak to Governor Moore right now. We're not taking no for an answer.
I don't want my school closed.
We as parents don't even have enough time to find something appropriate, especially for kids who have special needs. It's not the same, and I don't think anybody in the virtual academy was considered when they made this decision.
I really want the virtual academy to stay because my daughter Kyra, she was in the in-person learning till 5th grade. And I couldn't see much progress because she uses a communication device, and kids with communication device, they need a lot of support.
Especially our special needs population, which is one of the most underserved just in general in life. When it comes to the school district, we're kind of put in these boxes, and the MVA doesn't do that as much. If you are someone who needs some sort of accommodation, the best place to get it is usually at your house.
After a nationwide search, we are pleased to announce that we intend to appoint an individual who embodies the qualities this community highly values, and that is Dr. Thomas Taylor.
The culture that I would like to create in MCPS is one of support, safety, mutual trust, mutual respect, and innovation. I know that working together is impossible without one ingredient: trust. We can only move at the speed of trust. So here's my big request for today. I humbly ask for the opportunity to earn your trust.
In addition to his knowledge and skill as an educator, Dr. Taylor holds a doctorate in education from the University of Virginia and an MBA from the College of William and Mary. The unique marriage of an instructional leader with deep understanding of school finance is a powerful combination in a school leader. All in favor, raise your hands. And that is unanimous. Congratulations, Dr. Taylor. Dr. Taylor is an MCPS alum and has more than 25 years of experience as an educator, with more than 12 years in district-level leadership and 6 years as a superintendent.
At last, in mid-June, the Board of Education announced their selection for school superintendent from another district not so far away. But Dr. Thomas Taylor was more than a mere neighbor. He was a graduate of the very system he hopes to turn around. MCM sat down with Dr. Taylor in early July to get his thoughts on his new job and the school system he would be taking over.
How have your first couple of weeks been as the new MCPS superintendent?
My first couple of weeks have been great. I've had the opportunity to make some school visits, I've had meetings with some staff, and even gotten out into the community a bit.
So as of now, do you have some top priorities or a plan coming in?
Absolutely. My top priority right now is to listen. There's so much that I have to learn about MCPS and to learn about the school system since I left as a student. And I'm really looking forward to getting reacquainted, and I will take that knowledge that I learned from listening and start evaluating our progress to start making plans for the future.
And of course, you're from Montgomery County, but previously you were superintendent for Stafford County Public Schools in Virginia, and MCPS is much bigger than that school system, right? So how are you planning to handle a school system as large as this one?
Well, the best part about Montgomery County is that it's home, so I do feel comfortable being back home in Montgomery County. Even though I was a school system superintendent of a system that was much, much smaller, I think that a lot of the things that we want to do are scalable. And I've seen some success in a system with 30,000 students. I've seen some success as the deputy superintendent in a school system with 65,000 students. And I think that some of the things that we need to do can be scaled on a large scale for Montgomery County.
One of the large-scale things for the school system here is the budget, right, every year. And, I mean, there was some controversy with that this year, and school board members already saying that next year's is going to be difficult. And there was some backlash from council members about fiscal management, and want to ask, are you planning or would you want to change any part of the budget process?
Well, I got to tell you, when you're dealing with the public's money, trust is really important. And I think it's incumbent on us to be good stewards of the taxpayer dollar and really see how we can get the most out of the taxpayer dollar with a high return on investment. Looking at within to see where we can marshal our resources to get the best bang for the buck, I think is what we're going to have to do next.
The school system got most of its budget funded this year, but there was still some issues with, threatening layoffs of teachers and things like that. So do you think maybe there needs to be a better economy or just a better environment within the school system?
Well, I will say that every time MCPS makes a request, the Montgomery County community comes through in a pretty big way. And even though we didn't get all of our requests fulfilled, we know that our community is supportive of our school system, council is supportive of the school system, and they're looking for creative ways in which they can partner together with the school system and fund as much as they can of our requests.
So, last year there was a story that came out about a principal, and it triggered multiple investigations and reports about how MCPS handles complaints about employees and about the principal. So how would you rebuild trust with the community after that whole saga?
Well, there's a couple of different ways to look at complaints, and I, for one, look at complaints as an opportunity to be better. And, when things happen that are not great or there's an issue that needs to be addressed, we have to own it. We have to be transparent about what went wrong and how we're going to fix it. And we also need to not make the same mistakes over and over again.
And then specifically with staff, how would you rebuild trust with staff members who've seen the reports that have come out about how MCPS handles complaints?
Well, I think the first step is to be visible and to listen. I think it's really important for the MCPS staff to have access to their superintendent, to hear from my perspective, my thoughts on an issue, and for me to hear from them. They're experts in the field. They have the boots on the ground, and they really know what's going on in our community, and their voice does need to be heard.
Would you want to change the current school officer program, which was previously changed in 2021?
Well, it's not right for every community. Some communities it's a great fit, and other communities it's not. I'm really looking forward to assessing our school safety. I will say that every student deserves to come to a school that is safe and welcoming. Our staff deserve a school environment that is safe and welcoming, and the visitors that come to our school deserve a school environment that's safe and welcoming. There's really two important things that we do in the public education space, is that we make these really remarkable, fantastic, and memorable learning experiences, but we have to do that in learning environments that are characterized by safety and are extraordinary in and of themselves.
And then related to safety, youth overdoses, fentanyl use that's been on the rise in recent years, how would you build on the work that MCPS has already done recently? Like we had previous fentanyl forums, students are now allowed to carry Narcan in schools. How would you build on that?
Well, I think we should be very proud of the fact that MCPS is probably one of the largest agencies in the United States that trains on the use of Narcan to counteract fentanyl overdose. And that's still a priority for the school system to make sure that the whole child is cared for, not just our academic needs of our students, but their safety and their well-being is still important to us. So we're going to continue to prioritize that training. We're going to continue to prioritize education about fentanyl and other things that could be harmful for our young people. That part of our mission has not gone away.
You know, some central office staff have departed from the school system recently, and do you think that there needs to be more house cleaning or housekeeping done at MCPS? And kind of going back to what you were talking about the principal and rebuilding trust, you know, some of the community thought that maybe cronyism was an issue related to that because the previous superintendent and that principal were reportedly friends.
Well, it's hard for me to look back on folks and situations that I don't have a lot of familiarity with. I'm looking forward to building a great team here at MCPS.
Do you think that MCPS's standing has slipped a little bit recently, in recent years, and you know, how would you bring it back up?
This is a community that has really high expectations. I love that about Montgomery County. And I think that that Montgomery County is still a great place to live, work, and learn. And it's a community that wants to invest in its school system. And I think as long as the Montgomery County community is supporting its school system, we're going to continue to do great things for kids.
We talked about your educational career and all of that, but got to ask about the music career. So, you know, we all know that rap video that you put out when you were superintendent for Stafford County.
Look, if you had one shot, one opportunity to close all the schools in the county for snow, would you call it or would you let it slip? Yo.
You know, is that kind of fun and lightheartedness part of your approach to leadership?
I would certainly hope so. I will tell you that I do not have a shred of musical talent, and that auto-tune is a wonderful device that can help even the music talentless such as myself. I think it's really important to engage our kids. I think it's really important to engage our families and our community. And let's not forget the fact that this is school and it should be fun. I'm so glad that so many people enjoyed the video. I wonder what we're going to do this year.
You're a native of the county. You grew up here, you went through MCPS. We went through the archives and found some old photos.
Oh, geez.
You can just swipe through.
Oh, it does say MCPS archives.
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I am sorry to oh gosh. Oh.
No, so you know, tell us about your formative years in MCPS, and I mean, did your experience here inspire you to go into this field?
Absolutely. I was so blessed to have amazing teachers and friends throughout my experience in MCPS. And what a touching experience to be with some just absolutely outstanding people who helped form me. I can think of teachers at every school and at every level that just had a huge impact on me. You found some pretty extraordinary pictures, that's for sure. I was active in student government, and that was a big part of my experience. I've been interested in student leadership ever since.
In late July, Dr. Taylor met with the Virtual Academy parents, offering an apology and a commitment to a solution.
Hi.
We're not going to Rockville.
Nice to be in Rockville.
We want action. We want to impart upon him that he has the power to act, to save this school for these students.
You deserve better. You should have been treated better. You should have been talked to, consulted, and respected in a different way. And I'm sorry that didn't happen.
The two options they provided to me were not even options.
I hope that the superintendent will listen and have the courage to figure out a way to help. We've talked to a lot of people who listened and did a lot of listening, but nobody's taken any action to help for the upcoming school year.
And even though I wasn't here for some of the decisions that kind of took place that led us to tonight, I am responsible for what happens moving forward.
This is your time, guys.
In early August, Taylor met with MVA parents once again, this time at their request. Earlier that day, in a letter to Academy parents, he proposed a possible solution for medically fragile students, but Academy parents had more to say.
Why all of a sudden now, we don't have money for this? It shouldn't lie to us. We would all have other plans made. Honey, you have a lot to clean up. I wish you a lot of luck. But if you could answer any of my questions, I'd appreciate that.
What I can tell you is that the budget process is a process.
Mhm.
And when you're operating on some assumptions, and this will happen again this year, by the way, and it'll happen again next year, and it'll happen again the year after that, is that the assumptions that you're operating under on 1 month are different than the assumptions that you have to operate on in another month.
Meanwhile, the county executive invited Taylor to his weekly meeting on August 7th. Here's what he told reporters and officials at that media briefing.
Right now, I'd like to welcome Dr. Taylor to talk a little bit about what he's doing to prepare for the upcoming school year. And thank you for joining us today. And as a side note, I think this may be the first time that the superintendent of schools and the county executive are both graduates of MCPS.
Fantastic. I love it. And thank you so much for having me. The school system is very busy this time of year. I'm a seasoned veteran of MCPS after 1 month on the job. I'm thrilled to be back in my home school community and thrilled that we share that leadership trait of being hometown guys. I think that that's actually really important. That context does matter. Some of the things that we've been working on this summer, as you mentioned, we're a large employee group of nearly 25,000 employees, but we are looking to add a little over 900 new educators to our team this year. We still have about 160 full-time vacancies and about 100 part-time vacancies that we're still looking for, but that's tremendous progress that we've made this summer. We still have some critical needs that need to be filled, so I would encourage anyone who is thinking about joining MCPS or Team Montgomery County to come look at the school systems and look at some of the career opportunities that we have, because this is a great place to live, work, and learn. And we want to have you a part of our team, and that's a big part of what we do to get prepared for the school year. You mentioned safety, and that is also critical as a priority for us this year. I would love to say that instruction is our #1 priority. It's not. It's our #2 priority. Our #1 priority is making sure that our students, our staff, and our visitors have a safe, welcoming, and inclusive environment to come to. They can't learn without feeling safe, without feeling supported. And we have some work to do in that space. And I think we have taken the right steps and the right measures to move us towards that. Reviewing some of our practices, reviewing some of the things that we need to tighten up this school year so that everybody has a better experience. And that's pretty critical to us. Some other critical things that are happening right now in the school system, we're preparing our grounds and our facilities. Summer has a really interesting way of testing our HVAC systems. So we have to make sure that they are up and running so that students have a comfortable learning experience and our teachers and staff have a comfortable work environment. Our grounds need to also be tidied up so that everybody comes to a beautiful looking school when they show up. We just recently released bus routes, so folks have that to look forward to in trying to prepare and map out their schedules and their everyday routines as the school year gets started. This is going to be a great school year. We have a lot to do, but we're really excited about what the future holds, and we look forward to seeing everybody on the first day of school shortly thereafter.
On Monday, August 26th, Montgomery County Public Schools will be back in session again. That's when Dr. Taylor will begin to face his most difficult challenges, confronting issues far different than when he was a student at Bethesda Chevy Chase High School. At his meeting with the virtual academy recently, Dr. Taylor asked people to raise their hands if they thought MCPS had been through a rough couple of years. He was the first one to raise a hand. Hopefully that kind of honesty will go far to determine what comes next for MCPS. I'm Mariam Shahzad for Montgomery Community Media. Thanks for watching.